Good morning, everybody. I guess probably a thank you to everybody for turning up today. Thank you for Brian, Chris and Angela for organising this. It's been really good certainly for me, having a look at this. We're going to talk about neighbours quite briefly today, and the idea is that I'll give you a little bit of an idea about what neighbours is and where it sits within maybe your environment that you are at the moment. Has anybody not heard of neighbours? One, excellent. All right, that's a really good start. So probably just a quick overview there. So my name is Dray. I'm an account manager, public sector with EECA as part of the investment and engagement team at EECA. I guess we're in large cases, the public-facing part of EECA. There's a group of account managers in the public sector, but also the private sector as well, that will go out and talk to organisations about energy efficiency and how to essentially do things better within their organisation. Our services are completely free to organisations, and we're really there to help advise, push, pull, cajole in a lot of cases to organisations to create better energy efficiency, and lighting comes as part of that. Why does NABERSNZ matter? It's quite an important part because the way that it's split, energy efficiency is quite a key component of that, and very much it's mandated now that public sector organisations need to look at neighbours in their organisation. So just going to play you a very quick video. There's some mention in there about lighting, but it gives you an overview really of what neighbours is and the importance of that to your organisation.
So Neighbours New Zealand is really important as a means of measuring energy consumption and rating that so that you can assess how efficient a building is or isn't, as the case may be. So when looking for a building with a good NABERSNZ rating, there are a number of reasons why you should care. From a building owner's perspective, it's because it indicates the quality of your building, it reduces the costs of your building, and in reducing the cost of the building, it's also making the building more attractive to investors, it's improving the returns on the asset. It's also improving the quality of services, so you'll tend to get happier tenants who stay for longer. From a tenant perspective, it's always good to look for a high NABERSNZ rated building because of exactly those factors that I mentioned for the landlords. It means the services are working well, it means you're not wasting unnecessary money on outgoings, and you've got some guarantee that the building is cared for. Within your own tenancy, it's about cost, and it's about saving costs in running a tenancy. You'd rather spend your money on staff than lighting. So put in an efficient lighting system, have a good NABERSNZ tenancy rating, and you can spend more money on your staff.
So I guess that's really encompassed a lot in that short video of what's already been talked about this morning, about the good lighting, about the energy efficiency part of it as well. But it also comes into play because when government's looking at long leases for buildings, if you've got a very good neighbours rating, the chances are, as a building owner, an asset owner, then if you're looking to put a long-term tenant in, such as a government organisation, the higher rating you have, the more attractive it is to someone who wants to put their staff into that. So just having a little bit of a recap here about what neighbours is. So it started off in Australia back in 1999 to measure and compare the environmental, energy and carbon performance of buildings and tenancies. And so NABERSNZ is a branch of that. It's a system for rating the energy efficiency of office buildings, but it's also, more importantly, an independent tool backed by New Zealand government. EECA holds the licence for NABERSNZ, and New Zealand Green Building Council administers that as neighbours on behalf of EECA and the government. I guess this is an important thing. I'm not sure how many government people we've got in here today, but from 1st of January 2021, these standards are compulsory for all agencies who occupy a single tenant. co-tenanted or co-located government office accommodation. And certainly non-mandated agencies are encouraged to follow these standards. As you can read there, I won't preach that to you, but certainly the better the rating, the better the attraction, the better the efficiency of the building. Certainly for new buildings there, agencies planning a new build project need to achieve a minimum 5-star NABERS rating. So this has now become, certainly in the last year, more and more important. It's something that, as we see, is mandated, but it is becoming the norm rather than the not. So certainly something certainly this government has taken on board. Just a brief overview there. Assessments are valid for 12 months. If the target rating has been met, a requirement is required every 3 years. So it's not a, you must do it every single year. However, if the target hasn't been met, then the agency must implement a work program for that. And then these ratings must be publicly disclosed. So again, it's what are you doing with your asset and your building, and we're going to report on it. So you now need to take this, this quite seriously. Just looking at this for the actual NABERS ratings. So there's 3 there. There's the tenancy, which is for over 5,000 square metres, base buildings over 2,000 square metres, and the whole building, which measures the base building and the tenancy ratings. Probably if there's any questions on this, because I think we're running a little bit short of time, is that just come and grab me in the break, and happy to answer any of those. Where do you find some information apart from coming to EECA and trying to find information on NABERS and what it's all about? Usually websites are pretty good at portraying what you require when you go through and do your Google searches. If you have a look at this one, which is the NABERSNZ website, I think it's very good, partly because you can just click and find everything really at a touch of a button where you want to go. So we go types of ratings there, how the ratings work, currently rated buildings, etc. Why NABERS? So it gives you the owners and the tenants' perspective, property managers, and then talking about new builds, architects, designers, and engineers. How to get a rating? I'll explain this in just a minute, but there's 2 types of rating. One, you can go, yes, I'd like to do one, but I actually don't want to go and do a full rating just yet. I'd like to get an idea. In that case, you can go to the self-assessment tool there, and that'll give you an idea, and you can fill that out and come up with a, you know, yes, I'm currently 4-star or 4.5 star. Actually, that looks pretty good. What do we need to do about getting a full rating? It gives you an idea of assessment costs and then a user guide for self-assessment there. There's an assessor directory here, which will give you a list of accredited NABERS assessors in your area. So if you're Auckland, Dunedin, Wellington, we'll go through, and they're all trained, and they can come and explain what NABERS is to you, how they do it, what the costs are, etc. And certainly then there's training, sign up to NABERS Assessor practitioner course. And probably one of the things there which is quite important is, you know, we get asked all the time what funds are available for an organisation to do energy efficiency, etc. Certainly there's not from EECA's perspective on the actual rating itself, but from the outcomes of what comes up in that NABERS rating. So we've got energy management strategy and planning, which EECA looks at, monitoring, targeting, and then optimisation of your HVAC system. So there's certainly some support from EECA there in terms of our funding and what we do. And then as you go through, there's other resources there as well. So that's a very good website, very easy to use. Also, if you want to go through to New Zealand procurement, the government property group, they've got information there on NABERS, and also New Zealand Green Building Council, as I mentioned, they administer it for EECA as well. So there's information there as well. Alternatively, you know, come to EECA and we can help you out as well. As I said, there's 2 types of NABERS assessment. One is self-assessment and then certified rating, so that's very important. Certified rating, some information there in terms of what you're going to need, so 12 months data usage, and how it's measured there, the climate in the building, how it operates, the building hours, etc., size of the building, number of computers, because it's all done on people within the building, the computers, etc. And then meters, which is quite important. The whole building can easily monitor any incoming utility meters, but if you're doing a tenancy in a base building, you require some sub-metering there to find out your areas. EECA's been doing NABERS for many, many years. We've got an office in Christchurch, which is literally 2 desks out of a whole building. We've got Wellington here, which we've got a complete floor, and then we've probably got maybe about building up for a quarter, I guess, of level 8. And then in Auckland, we've got a part of a building as well. We're just about to move buildings there. Just to give you a little bit of an idea in terms of how it all works. So if you were doing a self-assessment there, you'd go through business investing, a NABERS certified rating, you appoint a NABERS assessor, and then you go through with the assessor meets with the project team. As with anything else, I guess, in terms of you wanting to do something within your organisation, there's a process for doing that. The data's collected, the NABERS assessor completes the assessment, comes back round to the project team and receiving your NABERS rating, and then the business develops, what are we going to do from there? And very much when you're looking at energy efficiency or anything around that, there is always things to do. So don't be scared of what rating am I going to get? Does it look good, bad or indifferent? It's like everything else. You need to start at a spot and then work from there. So the self-assessment one is always a good one because it gives you a little bit of an idea about exactly what you need to do. A couple of key points around NABERS. This is just to give you an idea of, I guess, how much of the NABERS rating things contribute. And I want to talk just a little bit about lighting. We've already heard about, the benefits of lighting. I don't think there's anybody probably in this room that will say that lighting doesn't create benefits, etc. There's the performance of your lighting, you put an LED in and it's probably going to be 10 years before you replace it, all those sort of things. But if you have a look at this in terms of the rating, if you go through here, so 1.3 stars for the management of your building. When you're looking at 6 stars for a very, very good building, 1.3 is the management. That's quite a lot. Training, incentives, management skills, but it's all there to help make the building more efficient. I guess there's a little bit around how EECA can help in this. So, lighting has been around for a very long time, as we've found out. I've been with EECA coming up for 6 years now. When I took the role on, I was told there's lots of work out there. Organisations have still a lot to do with regard to energy efficiency. And one of the things that we sat down at the beginning and went, right, these are the organisations potentially you're going to be looking after across the country. And at that stage, my area was Wellington, where government is, Manawatu and Hawke's Bay. And we talked about what opportunities, the known opportunities. Lighting was very much on that list. We talked about low-hanging fruit, all those small things that should have got done, haven't been done, that can create a very quick remedy to the energy bill. You put the lighting in, you get instant savings. It's probably one of the few things that can have an instant impact. So we've got trying to get organisations to look at low-hanging fruit. And I've got to say, after, nearly 6 years, we're still talking about lighting. We're still talking about, why haven't you done lighting? What's the issue with it? And there's a lot of issues when you talk to organisations, especially now we've had COVID in the last year upset things. we're talking about, I guess, numbers of people on the ground to actually do things. Is it just the Band-Aid type operation because we don't have excess staff to look at improved lighting or whatever the case may be? So very much we're still, to a large degree where I was 6 years ago, still talking about low-hanging fruit, still talking about lighting, still talking about lighting replacement. And so, I guess from a personal point of view, I'd like to get away from those conversations with customers, And so, a half day like this has been, I think, really good. Congratulations to the Lighting Council, because I think, we need to address these things. So hopefully this will, in part measure, push us along a little bit. How can we help? So some of you may recall about December 2019, January 2020, the government gave 200 million to look at how can they decarbonise the country's estates quicker, and how can we get the harmful fossil fuel boilers, etc., out of the environment and actually do work now. So 2028, you might have a project to remove, let's say, a gas boiler or replace all your lighting. If we gave you some partial funding, could you do that in 2020, 2021, 2022? So the idea of the decarbonisation fund is to bring all those projects forward to now rather than 2028. There was a top up in the May budget, so it's now $219.5 million. And essentially it's looking at hospitals, tertiary educations, low emission alternatives, and looking at energy efficient chillers, LED lighting, electric vehicles, boilers, taking those out of schools, and replacing things like harmful refrigerants in chillers, etc. So it's trying to take that harmful stuff, take it out of the environment, and replace it with something better. Sorry, going back to that. So here there's funding out of the state sector funds. So if you're part of the 32 core agencies or if you're part of the other government areas, it excludes local councils, unfortunately, but everything else, I'm certainly happy to talk to anybody around this. Lighting is one that just absolutely business case tick. As long as you've done all the calculations and you can produce those to us, have a look at. Our part in this is that we go through, we look at the applications that come through, we then recommend those to ministers to sign off. The process is quite easy. I call it the easiest piece of government funding that I've seen, certainly. There's a 3-page application form. You fill that out, we have some conversations with you, get it to a state where it's presentable in the state that we like, and then we take it and send it off, as I say. So it's a very good, very quick, easy application process. Crown Loans. Crown Loans has been around for a number of years in EECA. There is $2 million annually that's been given via Treasury. It's pretty much the only piece of capital funding that EECA does. So it is there for all those projects that you'd like to do. Lighting, again, is included in that because it just simply stacks up to do. So where you've got a business case where maybe it's a 6-year payback and the boss is saying, look, it's too long, help through EECA for some funding might bring that business case down to 4 years and make it more acceptable to do now rather than wait 2 or 3 years. So in essence, what it is, it's a one-off flat procurement fee of $500 for loans up to $50,000 and then a 1% loan for more than $50,000. It's all around energy efficiency and the payback on that is up to 5 years. EECA administers this and essentially what happens is once the loan has been granted, your organisation pays that back every quarter to EECA and we just administer the loan and make sure the payments come in. As you see there, carbon dioxide emission reductions, anything along those lines that you'd like to look at. I think the main thing from this is around, one, you have to do neighbours now, so let's get on and do that. How can we help? We can help. The assessors can help. There's funding there to do various things around carbon reduction, about energy efficiency. The key message for me is, look, come talk to us if you've got any questions. If we can't deal with it directly, we can put you on to someone that can. But I think certainly from a lighting perspective, you know, we've heard already, and we're going to hear undoubtedly as the morning goes on about the benefits of it. You put it in, you get the benefits straight away. I was talking earlier here about Te Papa and the efficiencies that they've got. It's a no-brainer, I think, certainly from our perspective. And, you know, we'd like to stop talking about lighting to some degree, you know, because it should have been done. The fact that we've got Lighting Council here today talking about it, there's so much more in terms of, I guess, what is on the market. So even if you've done lighting replacement some years ago, you know, come and talk to Lighting Council, or people that are looking at this and go, you know, how can we improve this? Because, you know, we're quite right, you know, big windows, it's fantastic. Us older people who need glasses, it's frustrating, to be honest. So, you know, what can you do out there that can, you know, improve your lighting, improve, I guess, the well-being, because everybody's talking about well-being, mental health of staff. Lighting certainly helps. So, you know, have a look at your lighting, find out where you need the help, and then go and find it. That's essentially me. There's another presentation from me, so the state sector will be covered on that as well. But look, in the break, come and talk to me about Neighbours if you've got any questions, and happy to answer it.